Jesus just spawned in and literally has ultimate main character energy from day one. Angels are hyping up his arrival to Mary and Joseph, telling them their kid is about to save everyone. The shepherds pull up to the manger because they absolutely understood the assignment. Incredible early vibes, honestly. He is currently roaming the market looking for John the Baptist, but the Romans are completely ruining the aesthetic. They wrecked a local merchant stall and are acting like absolute menaces to society. Jesus is just trying to gather some basic information without getting caught up in their toxic drama. Our guy finally locates John baptizing people by the river. John is out here eating wild locusts and honey, like some kind of extreme crunchy influencer. The sky literally opens up and a dove descends. God audibly drops a massive compliment. The entire baptism sequence is absolutely pure cinematic gold. Time for the wilderness era. Jesus spends 40 days straight fasting in the desert, which honestly sounds incredibly cooked. He is essentially doing the hardest dopamine detox imaginable. The devil suddenly appears trying to ruin his mental health, but Jesus refuses to let that negative energy affect his inner peace. Satan pulls out all the stops, offering literal kingdoms and crazy amounts of wealth if Jesus just bows down. Jesus completely ignores this yapping and stays incredibly grounded. The devil eventually gives up because he simply cannot handle someone setting such intensely solid boundaries. It is a truly massive flex. The squad hits up a wedding in Cana, but they completely run out of wine, which is a highly embarrassing situation. Mary tells Jesus to fix it, so he turns massive stone jars of water into the most premium vintage ever. The party guests are genuinely shook by the quality. Jesus casually approaches some exhausted fishermen who have caught absolutely nothing all night. He tells them to cast their nets again. Suddenly, they pull up a ridiculously huge haul of fish. Peter is completely stunned and instantly decides to abandon his entire old life to follow this based teacher permanently. They arrive at Peter's house and his wife's mother is running a massive fever. Instead of panicking, Jesus simply touches her hand. Her sickness gets completely deleted on the spot. She immediately gets up and starts serving them dinner. The healing power is honestly unmatched and extremely impressive to witness. Jesus heads into the temple and is absolutely disgusted by all the merchants scamming people. He starts flipping tables and throwing money everywhere because the disrespect is too real. It is a bold statement that clearly proves he is not afraid to upset the religious establishment at all right now. Nicodemus sneaks out at night to chat because he is curious but does not want to get cancelled by his peers. Jesus explains that you literally have to be spiritually reborn. The whole conversation is super deep, leaving Nicodemus rethinking his entire theology and fundamentally changing his personal perspective forever. Hi there. If you want to enjoy more gaming lore without grinding for 60 hours, hit that subscribe button. I do the grinding so you don't have to. Your support really helps the channel. After chilling with the builders, Jesus heals some wounded people injured during a crazy riot. Simon the Zealot is watching this compassion unfold and realizes his angry political agenda is officially cooked. He chooses to drop his weapons and embrace peace, joining the rapidly expanding follower group almost immediately afterward. Thomas the Doubter enters the chat, needing hard evidence before believing anything. Suddenly, a massive funeral procession passes by for a widow's only son. Jesus feels terrible for her and literally tells the dead guy to get up. The guy resurrects, and Thomas instantly becomes a highly loyal permanent fan. Jesus starts preaching hard about staying ready and keeping those lamps burning, because nobody knows the actual timeline. He warns everyone against procrastinating on doing good things. Basically, he is telling the crowd to stop lagging and start acting right before it becomes way too late for them all today. The entire squad finally links up on a roof. Jesus officially promotes 12 of them to apostles, giving them the daunting task to preach everywhere. They are severely stressed out and suffering from heavy imposter syndrome, but they promise to try their very best to spread the good news daily. A massive crowd pulls up to the hill, basically starving. The disciples only have 5 tiny loaves of bread and 2 fish, which is mathematically awful. Jesus casually multiplies the entire stash, feeding thousands of people with plenty of leftovers. The whole gathering is profoundly shook by it all today. The disciples are struggling in their boat during a nasty storm. Suddenly, Jesus just casually walks across the water toward them. Peter attempts to step out and walk too, but his anxiety spikes and he starts sinking. Jesus immediately catches him and roasts his lack of faith on the spot. Jesus visits his hometown and drops some hard truths in the synagogue. The locals get incredibly offended because they hate being humbled. They literally try to throw him off a massive cliff, but he effortlessly phases right through the angry mob like an absolute boss. The wild disrespect entirely fails. A Roman centurion pulls up begging for his highly sick servant to be healed. He respectfully says Jesus does not even need to visit the house. Just speaking a word works. Jesus is seriously impressed by this massive faith and instantly cures the servant from miles away completely and flawlessly. They encounter a totally unhinged man who is possessed by an entire army of demons named Legion. Jesus completely overpowers the dark energy and evicts the demons, sending them straight into a nearby pig herd. The pigs immediately dive into the water while the man gets completely and peacefully healed. A paralyzed guy's friends are so desperate, they literally break open the roof to drop him down. Jesus forgives his sins first, which triggers the strict religious leaders immensely. Proving he has ultimate authority, Jesus then tells the guy to walk, and he stands up perfectly healed almost instantly today. Jesus hikes up a high mountain with his core friend group and starts glowing brightly. Moses and Elijah randomly spawn in to discuss his upcoming mission. Peter gets super hyped and wants to build tents for everyone, but God interrupts to loudly confirm Jesus is his uniquely beloved divine son. Lazarus has been dead for 4 whole days, and everyone is crying and heavily grieving. Jesus pulls up to the tomb and casually tells him to walk out. Lazarus literally emerges in his grave clothes looking perfectly alive. The entire crowd realizes this is some massive absolute power unfolding right now. At the pool, a man has been sick forever, but can never reach the healing waters fast enough. Jesus basically tells him to ignore the toxic waiting game, grab his mat, and just walk away. The religious leaders instantly start yapping about him, casually carrying his things on a weekend. Jesus rides into Jerusalem on a random donkey, while everyone wildly cheers and waves huge palm branches. They are shouting absolute praise like he is a celebrity. The religious leaders are completely seething, watching the entire city collectively fangirl over him, while their own influence rapidly fades away into nothing. Jesus hits the temple again and is absolutely fed up with the greedy market vibes ruining the holy space. He clears out the corrupt merchants making huge profits off prayers. It is a crazy, intense moment where he demands pure respect instead of their completely fake religious side hustles today. During supper, Jesus completely humbles himself by doing the dirty work of washing his friends' feet. He breaks bread and pours wine, explaining it represents his sacrifice. He then heavily implies someone at the table is literally about to betray him, sending massive anxiety throughout the entire friend group tonight. They head to a quiet garden where Jesus starts experiencing severe emotional distress. He prays while his best friends continuously fall asleep because they lack basic stamina. Satan returns with more toxic lies trying to break him, but Jesus fully accepts the brutal path ahead without completely folding at all. Judas officially secures his bag by snitching and guiding armed guards to the garden. He marks Jesus with a fake kiss. Peter completely loses it and cuts off a guard's ear, but Jesus orders him to stand down. Jesus gets arrested while his entire crew very nervously scrambles quickly away. The religious council drags him to Pilate, desperately demanding the absolute maximum penalty. Pilate tries to dodge the drama by offering a prisoner swap, but the mob chooses Barabbas instead. Pilate literally washes his hands of the situation, letting the crowd sentence Jesus to an extremely horrific dark fate today. After enduring immense pain on the cross, Jesus breathes his last breath. But shortly after the weekend, an angel flexes by, rolling away the heavy tombstone. Jesus officially respawns, confirming he beat death itself. He blesses his friends and ascends, leaving them completely hyped and feeling truly eternally victorious. Gaming lore is long and confusing, but I break it down every week. Subscribe so you never miss a plot twist or hidden detail. Thanks for watching.